Hello, my name is Matthew Applegate. I run the Creative Computing Club. Hopefully, I've got a good sound level, and everything is good, and we'll kind of proceed. So, yeah, all good. Okay, so as I say, I'm Matthew Applegate. I founded the Creative Computing Club in 2012. Um, I come from a background of working in technology, working with several very, very big companies. I've had the pleasure of working with the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, UK Parliament, Cabinet Office, Disney, Honda, Google, BBC, Samsung, Apple, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, NASA, Singularity University, BNA, and the British Museum, just to name a few. There's loads more I've worked with. Um, it was usually either for design work in terms of design of products or making the product secure or handling lots of data. Like for Foreign and Commonwealth Office, I used to handle a lot of their data. For Cabinet Office, we did a lot of work on creating what we call CICs, not-for-profit organizations, and creating lots of benefits for CICs. Oddly enough, then went on to make a CIC, a not-for-profit organization. For Honda, I'm a junior Imagineer, so that means I get sent problems, work on them, send them back for different departments. So that's really good fun. But I've worked for Samsung, Sony, Nintendo on various different projects throughout the years. I've been very, very lucky because it didn't start out that way. I wasn't a good student at school. I was a terrible student at school because my teachers didn't understand me. I'm dyslexic, dyspraxic, dyscalculic, everything. I'm on the spectrum, so my teachers didn't really understand me, but I understood computers really well. Um, I'll go back a bit. Before I got into this world of technology, I got into a lot of trouble with computers. In Zweibrücken, West Germany, I broke into a military bank when I was 12. The password was Ronald Reagan. Well, it was R Reagan, and that allowed me access to their online military banking services. It's very easy to do. It's the current president at the time. Uh, Amusingly enough, the door password to get into the same bank, the physical bank, was R Reagan as well. So I actually got into the actual physical bank. I didn't get into trouble. Quite the opposite. I actually got given more access to more technology just to see what else I could do with tech. And so they put me on these at the time in the 80s, late 80s. They gave me some quite high-powered computers. And that was my next act of kind of cyber terrorism was I installed a American game show game called Wheel of Fortune on about 500 Army payroll computers in Kreuzberg, West Germany. But again, didn't get in trouble. They liked the fact that I was clever enough to manipulate systems. I ended up doing some things for some departments, and eventually got known for making documenting security breaches and things like that for various companies. So a lot of these companies would actually give me a product or a service, and I would look at it and say how a hacker or a problem maker might manipulate it to make things better or worse for a user, or better or worse for a company. Um, so I got kind of handed around to different companies and got headhunted. I didn't even have a CV up until I was 33. I just got passed around from company to company, and friend of friends would basically kind of share me with their company, and I'd solve lots of things. But it's been very, very good fun. I loved what I did then, but I realized I was very lucky. I was very lucky in that I had gone from a school where they didn't understand me at all to some of the biggest companies in the world. And I wanted to make sure that the young people behind me had the same opportunities that I did. So I went from a very, very, very well-paid job in London to reducing my salary down to a tenth of it to start the Creative Computing Club. And what it actually did for me was I think it has made me a better person. It's no longer just about me. It's no longer about me and all the things I'm doing. It's about the young people we work with now. So my focus is on helping every single one of our students achieve the goals that they want to in life. And it's lovely to kind of make that trade. Okay, yeah, drop in income doesn't matter because of the cool stuff I get to do every single day. If you had the opportunity to wake up in the morning, go to the lab like we have here, this 2-story computer lab in Ipswich, build robots, blow stuff up, make video games, who would want to do that every day? I do. And so it's been really good fun. So we started it in 2012. We started it in a place called Chantry Library in Chantry. I found a lovely man called Theo who ran the local library, and I convinced him to let us have access to the library after hours to run a computing club, basically a club to let people learn about robots, Lego, D&D, video games, all kinds of geeky things, and just be sociable and make stuff. And we started it with £1,000. We raised £1,000 on like a GoFundMe page, and it was, I said to the parents that with £1,000 we're going to buy some Lego, we're going to buy some software, we're going to buy some basic electronic stuff, and we're going to run this 8-week pilot test to see how it goes. And technically, 9 years later, we are still running that pilot test. We haven't stopped since that day. Every single day, we've been doing something towards Creative Computing Club. And because it's been 9 years, some of these young people in these photos now work for the biggest companies in the world. They now own companies, and some of them have gone on to be very, very successful all around the world, which is absolutely lovely. A lot of these students in these photos work for companies like Derivco locally, and a few other ones. So one of them in the picture actually owns his own video game company now. So it's really, really nice to kind of see the role I played in helping that young person get there, because before there was no kind of opportunities in Ipswich and Suffolk to get there. One of the biggest learning curves for me very, very early on was working with SEN students, so special education needs students. Obviously, I'm a SEN student myself, but I'd never taught SEN students, so I had to learn a lot about care working, social working, pastoral work. If I just taught kids how to code, this club would have collapsed years ago. The way we do it is we have not case studies for kids, but we kind of work with every single student individually. It's not a very scalable model, but we have scaled it because we've taken on more staff who actually care about working with students. So a lot of these kids are on the spectrum. A lot of these kids have additional needs. And we had to learn about them, and we had to learn about how we can alter our lessons to work with them. If we just rocked up and taught code and said, if you can't learn, that's it, then it would have failed. We had to become the people who we are today by doing that. We have grown to around 600 young people a week, which is quite an expanse. Going from just 10 kids, 9 years on. We have different sections. We have 8 to 12-year-old groups on Friday, and we have 12 to 16-year-old groups all the rest of the week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not Thursday. Thursday is for one-to-one sessions that we have with our special needs students. And it's just grown and grown and grown. And one of the funniest things is everybody says, oh, wow, you must have spent loads on marketing and advertising and all that stuff. No, we spent £12.50 on Facebook once. And that was because we got given £15 Facebook, ads. And that was it. We soon realized that the one thing that parents love to see the most is their kids having fun, socializing, and learning. So every time we obviously we have to have safeguarding in place, and we have to have their permission to use photos of them working. Every time we posted it, everybody whose kid was at Computer Club would repost it, reshare it, retweet it, and it would grow like that. And then because it's on Facebook, everybody's grandparents would share it, repost it, and so on, retweet it, and so on. And it just went on and on and on. And, some of our posts, I think we get around 2,000 engagements a week on Facebook because we just post what the kids are doing. And the parents love it. And parents who are on LinkedIn can see what their kids are doing upstairs in their own home by watching on Facebook. They can see their kids are making stuff and building stuff and doing stuff. So that's really, really, really good fun for them to be able to see. It has been a lot of hard work. We've had, over the years, we have had to kind of really, really, really work hard at it. But I can't ever say that I've ever felt like, oh, I have to go to work and make games and build robots. And it's like, that's not a problem. That's really, really good fun. We've got to the point now where we have this kind of alumni and community whereby the students who are like, post 16, they can still hang around the club. But they get, what tends to happen is they start with the 8 to 12 groups, they move up to the 12 to 16s. And when they go to do their A-levels, they apply to us for their first job as assistants. And it's not a competitive thing. And I've got an anecdote about one that happened recently. So the 16 plus apply to be our assistants, and they help us out in schools. They help us out on Fridays with the under 12s, and they get paid. They get paid a good wage. They get paid 10 quid an hour for helping out with the younger students. And that gives them their first job. It gives them a bit more confidence. It gives them, just a boost. And, we announced like who was going to be our assistants this year moving forward. And it's a lad called Rory. And this sums up the way that kids at Computer Club think. When I said, oh, it's going to be Rory, everybody said, yeah, that makes sense. Everybody likes Rory. And, it's like, it wasn't like angry or, oh, I want to be the assistant. It was like, this is the community that we've built. That we're very non-competitive within our own organization. That all of our kids aren't there to compete with each other. They're there to help each other. We have very, very kind of a strong ethos of, if you know how to do something, great. But if the person next to you doesn't know how to do it, why don't you help them? Why don't you help boost them up? And that's helped a lot of young people grow together. It's helped a lot of them form friendships outside of Computing Club. It's helped give them a lot more confidence. When a kid helps another student out, that gives them a great deal of confidence, and we kind of support that. And it's very a non-school type of ethos, and it's one I kind of stole from working at Google. And it's just that we have to have these a non-competitive environment, because a lot of students really need that nurturing, and they need to be able to show off their skills. This is a place where they feel safe, and it's been very interesting having the online sessions. So up here in the top left here, this is just us at our lab on a Saturday social. This is us working in a school. This over here on the far right is us advising British Telecom and helping them write a white paper on how to engage with SEN adults and employ SEN adults. But these pictures over here I think are great, because it shows the kind of broad depths of the age range and the kind of activities we do. We do like Lego, we do gaming tournaments and so on. And this down here is when we moved everything online. And online it's been a challenge because obviously there's a bottleneck of one person speaking, everybody listens, and if they need to ask a question, everybody has to hear that question unless they type it in the chat and so on. But we kind of saw the online stuff coming. We don't like teaching online. We don't think it's the best way of teaching, but we've kind of devised a system on how to work with young people safely online. And it's grown, and we now have students all over the world to join us. So it's not just Suffolk now. We did a big project with Google, and that got national and international attention, and that has now brought in students online. So even when we go back to quote unquote normal teaching face to face, we will still teach online now in a separate arm to work with those international students, because we're helping kids all around the world get their grades in computer science up, get their confidence up, get their skill levels up. And the kids have engaged so much with it, they're going to come. Some of the kids are organizing with their parents to come over from like Spain and Ireland to join us for like a Saturday session. So the pandemic has brought a lot of issues, but we kind of saw it coming. We have a large group of Chinese students that we work with, and they mentioned there's something going on, and we actually were building, the students at Computer Club were actually building COVID-19 websites to show the facts and the fiction, in kind of websites back in January and February 2020. So we were kind of very much aware of it, and I think we tweeted about it that our kids were we were separating fact from fiction about COVID on these websites that we were building. And it was a really interesting project for them to build websites, and it was also interesting for them to kind of know what's going on in the world. Everything we do at Computer Club has to put the real world in context for young people. It cannot be legacy stuff. It cannot be too far in the future. It has to be, they can go home, they can see this stuff, they can experience this stuff, they can engage with this stuff and feel empowered that they know how it works. Like they can go home, see a video game and understand how that gaming mechanic works, or look at a web page and understand how it's been built. It's very, very important that we do that because it empowers them to go out and make things of their own. And we do the dangerous stuff too. We, obviously with the permission of the parents, we do the dangerous stuff, we do the fun stuff. So up here, we were getting 8 and 12-year-olds to learn how to solder their first electronic circuits. They were building simple 555 flashy light timers, and they were learning how to solder, and the parents were allowed to come in and watch them do it. And yeah, a few of them burnt their fingers, but you know what? They learned not to do it again and to take it more seriously. And actually, it was a really good skill because one of the girls up here in this picture actually then went on to learn about how to make jewelry, and because she felt so confident about it, and she actually made my partner some earrings for Christmas last year, because she got into kind of soldering and metalwork. It was really, really interesting. But we also play very hard. We've got a lot of friends in different tech companies, like Microsoft, and they invited us to the London store opening. We were there as VIPs for the London store opening and got to play on their insane, expensive gaming rig. So we took a bunch of 10 students up to try out their gaming rig. We try out all the latest VR. We have most VR headsets on the market. And we get to test out very high-end cars. This is them in a like £300,000. No, I think it was just under $1 million, wasn't it? This was the students testing out a McLaren, because this was a very special McLaren. It was the actual car, but inside it was modified to become a game controller for an Xbox game, which was just crazy. But it was like several million or something ridiculous. But our kids loved it. But we give those kids those kind of opportunities to experience things that they otherwise might not be able to. And as I said, we've been going for quite some time. So we do have a few older students who are now working in the industry. And one of the things, I don't have any pictures of it, sadly, but one of the things that we did do was we were able to take a group of 10 students to visit GDS, Government Digital Services, because one of my very first students now works at Government Digital Services, and he was developing this user platform for external developers to use this API, so that way different people could access the data that the government had. And he thought it would be great if he invited the now kids from Computer Club to Government Digital Services to learn how to use this API and build stuff. And our students were able to build an application form to apply for a new passport in under an hour. So it was a really good opportunity. So they got to see how Government Digital Services work. GDS got to see what the kind of kids that we're producing. And on that same trip, we visited Goldman Sachs as well, which was really, really awesome. We were able to take our students onto the live trading floor of Goldman Sachs and discover that 80% of the staff at Goldman Sachs in London are actually software developers using a version of Python called Slang. And when our students were there, they were able to read the code that the developers were writing, and that made them panic a bit. And actually, we had to get off the live trading floor because our students could read the code that they were using. But it showed Goldman Sachs again the kind of students that we were helping make, and actually they told us about the intern program that they run. Sadly, it was for 18, and most of our kids were 14, but I think a few of them will end up there anyway in the future. In late 2019, 2020, we built the Creative Computing Center in Ipswich, which I am here right now. It's a 2-story computing lab. I absolutely love it. It was built basically by the students. We let them choose the colors. So we have like the red, green, blue, and yellow from a Nintendo Famicom. Upstairs, we have like the red, gray, and black and white, and that's from the old NES. And we have downstairs, we have the red couches, which are from the Switch, and the blue pillars, which are from the Nintendo Switch. So everything is very gamey. But it actually allowed them to paint. We actually got them in to paint the walls, got them in to decide on the color schemes. We actually got some of the students to build the network. We literally said to one of the students who was studying networking and is going to go on to work for BT in networking, we said, if I get your stuff, do you want to build the network? And he jumped at the chance, was able to put it on a CV, and then get in a university apprenticeship scheme thing with BT because of it. And now he's become our systems admin on the weekend. So he gets paid from us to come in, update everything, keep everything rolling. So it's a really good kind of community effort to get everybody involved. And I didn't think that like the students would want to come in and help paint and help scrub the walls and do all that kind of stuff, but they absolutely loved it. And actually a lot of the kids who have quite a lot of anxiety were able to kind of connect with the building because this was their building. I wanted them to kind of feel as much a part of it as they possibly could. And when they come into this building now, this is their building because they helped design it, they helped paint it, and it's a very, very cool process to do that. I mentioned this before, but we try and put everything in the world into context. We try to make sense of what's going on in the world and make it able for our students to connect with that. So some projects that we've done in the past around AI. So we got all of the students in Computer Club to fill out one of these forms with their handwriting and a message. And this is basically a neural net AI that we built from scratch to learn the handwriting and decipher what it thinks the different letters are. And it was very, very successful. It allowed them to kind of understand what was going on with neural nets and what was going on in AI and give them a deeper kind of understanding of that. If you ever want to get the attention of a company, my advice is to bend their rules. Don't break them, don't do anything illegal, but certainly bend them. What we did here with IBM was we got students accounts to work with the IBM Watson. And you're meant to be 18, in all fairness, to access IBM Watson. But we decided to bend the rules to see how easy it was to program a proper commercial AI. And we got it to run a cinema. We built a cinema ticket booking service, and we built it with AI on really rinky-dink kind of rubbish computers at the time, but it worked, and we were able to get their system working. And we put this on Twitter, and first thing what happened was IBM, that's very naughty. You're meant to be 18 to use our system. Please don't do it again. And then 2 months later, they said, could we use those images in an internal presentation about how easy it is to use our system? And I said yes. And amusingly enough, the head of IBM sales then got in contact, and we ended up teaching his son because he actually lives in Suffolk. So it all kind of worked out nicely in the end for us and IBM. And IBM have helped us out on a few things recently, which I'll go into later. So it's kind of we tend to bend the rules, but we keep our kids safe, and it's it helps get the attention of different companies in that respect. One of the projects I built while working for Creative Computing Club was a lot of these things are called Computing Unplugged. This is a noughts and crosses game that teaches students about AI, and during that time they get to eat a lot of sweets. And it's if there's no computers and there's or you just want the students off the computers for a time, we've built a lot of activities that help them understand what's happening in the computer, but without a computer in front of them, because we don't think that students should be in front of a computer all the time. We actually kind of upset about lockdown that all teaching is done through the computing screen. It's kind of we love computing, but we love computing for the sake of computing, not for just jamming everything into a computer screen. We don't think that works very well. But yeah, we've made a lot of friends, and a lot of the companies that I've worked for, and I mentioned at the beginning, the people who I helped out, because when I did work in technology, I was a kind of an odd person because I helped a lot of people. It wasn't all about me entirely. I helped a lot of people get better jobs, get better skills, get promoted. So, and I've been lucky to stay in contact with a lot of those people. And so then I started to say to those people I helped out, well, I'm working with these kids now, and they really would like to kind of learn about this or that. So Microsoft actually invited us up to their head office in Reading. So we shipped out 15 of our best students, and they took over the CEO of Microsoft Europe's office for the day. They devised some cybersecurity apps. They got to eat really nice food, and we got to talk to the Minecraft team. So our students got to meet the developers of Minecraft and ask questions about what's happening, how do they do things, and that got them really enthusiastic about their kind of future role in developing games and apps and things like that. And it was a really cool experience for them. It was a really kind of like, I could work here. Kind of, they went home and said, yeah, if I just train hard, I can work here. I can get this kind of career. Again, I've been very lucky to work with Google in the past. I'm a Google certified innovator. So that means I've worked with Google on different projects. And so it was very, very cool to go back to them and say, we want to do some projects in schools, specifically deprived schools in Suffolk. There are a lot of them. We barely have anything. So we did a number of AI projects with them all across Suffolk. We were before the lockdown, we were working with and managing 15 schools across Suffolk. So we weren't just doing our after school stuff. We were also going into schools, taking over their IT departments and running the IT departments in schools. And we did it in a very, very different way to kind of traditional IT lessons. Because actually the first school we worked with was a really good learning experience for us, because we were actually brought in to improve student attendance. They thought, oh, this will be exciting, this will be fun, this will improve attendance. And it did. So we worked with this school out in Felixstowe, Colston Juniors, and a lovely school, great, really, really good kids. We came in on a Friday. No, sorry, they came in on Thursday, and our lessons are very excitable, very informal, very friendly, very jokey. We don't care if their tie isn't straight or anything like that. We care about them engaging and making good things. We care about them, what they're thinking, what kind of things they want to make. And so we went into the school and we ran our sessions. And for the first time, the teacher was like, oh, it's a bit weird, a bit different, a bit louder than what we normally have. And then the second time she said, no, this is quite interesting. And by the third time, we had to kind of find out if they want us to come back next year and do it all again. And she said, you have to come back. You have to come back, because actually our attendance has shot up. You can see a spike on a Thursday. A lot of these kids are skipping off school. A lot of these parents are very complicit. They're just letting them stay at home, watch YouTube all day, do nothing. But they're coming in on a Thursday, and then they're coming on a Friday to talk about what they did on Thursday. Can you come in every day? And we said, no, because we are the ice cream at the end of the week, basically. You have to do the other stuff, be good, and then you get to come to computer club. And that really, really works. And because of her attendance, the headmasters got really good attendance at that school. She became the head of the trust of multiple schools, and then brought us in to do all of the schools in their trust. So we were out at different schools every day across Suffolk, which is great. But we only go in 1 day a week. 1 day a week is IT day. And that day is absolute chaos in schools, and the kids love it. And we just do it the way that we would do it here. I had to explain to the teachers, I'm going to show up wearing a hoodie. I'm going to show up wearing jeans. They don't have to call me sir. My name is Matthew. We're just going to make cool stuff. They're going to learn, really do a lot of self-learning. We never tell the kids that we're going to learn anything. We never tell them, all right, now we're going to learn how to do this. No, it's all about, we're going to make this. We're going to break this. We're going to create this. And all of them want to learn how to do it so they can keep doing something cool, so they can keep up with the rest of the students. So it's really, really important in that respect, is that we don't say learning, because learning has quite a negative connotation to it now, unfortunately. I don't think it's bad to learn stuff at all. I'm constantly learning, but I think it's very, it does have a very negative connotation. So the pandemic came and we had to move everything online. We moved about 400 and something kids of ours online. And what we did is we didn't normally have something every day for all of our students, but we started these things called lunchtime challenges. So if you're a member of Computing Club, you can show up at 1 o'clock to our Zoom room, and we give you a tech challenge, and you have to do it within the hour. And it's like a little competition. There's no prizes. There's just like kudos amongst the community. There's there's the whole kind of, oh, so-and-so did this thing, it's cool. We're going to take a snapshot of it, put it online, tweet about it, and so on. And again, the parents love it. They can see it. They get to see all the stuff that's happening. They get to see all the stuff the kids are making. And actually, by doing it like this, we have a record of all the cool workshops that we've run online. So if we ever need to do them again, we have a kind of online curriculum. We over the years have built up a 5-year curriculum of working with kids, because we work with kids for so long. So we every 5 years we start from the very beginning again, and we update everything. And in all fairness, most of our sessions have to be updated every year, but the kind of the initial idea can be used again later on, because technology changes, and it just works out really, really well in that respect. So this is what we did during the pandemic. We did these lunchtime challenges where we got them to draw something, we got them to code something. So this is written in Java, these images up here, these shapes. We got them to build Scratch games. We got them to design characters. We got them to draw wizards and so on. And just basically a simple task for an hour gets them all online communicating, because a lot of their school kind of connection with school is very, very limited in terms of what they can do. A lot of the students aren't allowed to talk to other students while online in their lessons. They just have these blank black squares, and they can't talk to their friends online. And teachers aren't allowed to see the students at home because of safeguarding issues, whereas we have very different safeguarding practices at Computer Club, which are arranged through the parents. So if the kids want to have their camera on, they can. If they want to have the microphone on, they can. They don't have to, but they have a lot more fun if they can see all their friends and they can be seen by their friends making stuff. So we have slightly different practices, and it has worked, and it has helped a lot of young people kind of get through the pandemic. And we get like emails every week from parents saying, thank you so much. It's, helping him keep sane, keeping him connected to all of his mates at Computer Club. And it's very weird, situation we're in. But we have to kind of really, really bear in mind that for us as adults, this pandemic is only a year and a bit, maybe. For them, this is their formative years, and it will feel like 3 to 4 years of their life has been taken up by this thing, and it will have a knock-on effect on their education, on their grades. So the other thing that we started to do for them is on a Saturday, we've started running free computer science GCSE lessons for anybody in Ipswich. So anybody in Ipswich who wants to learn about computer science, we are take you through the curriculum. Because we've been teaching it for 8 years now. I've been teaching A-level and GCSE computer science, and our average grade is an A over the last 8 years. So we thought, let's open it up to everybody in Ipswich. That way, if they feel like they're struggling and just want an informal kind of chat about a topic in GCSE, they can come to us. So we've been doing that. That's been a real big success. On a Saturday, we have about 60 kids join us for GCSE computer science, which is pretty good for a Saturday. I mean, I know they're not at school every day is Saturday, but it's pretty good for a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock for them to show up and do their GCSE. So while the pandemic's been going on, we have been using our insanely high-powered gaming rigs downstairs. We've got this is downstairs right below me. We have this really high-powered gaming rig set up, and we've just got even better computers arrived. And we've been helping process COVID-19 protein data. So these 3D models are actually taken from some of the data that we've helped process to feed back to universities, to researchers, writing papers on that. Good question. Sue Charlotte. CCC has EU. Yes, we have had EU funding. Has Brexit affected you? Yes, simply. Yeah. EU has done so much for so many different community groups. And yeah, having that taken away from us. Luckily, I think we're in a different position to now we don't need as much funding. We've got so much of a big community to do it. We've gone from being, I think our first year's turnover was like £5,000, but I think next year is going to be around just under £300,000 turnover. So we're not in a position where we need EU funding. And actually, we're really good at going back to those big companies and saying, give us some money to help us create the next generation of your employees. And that seems to be working. This downstairs, again, we basically get all the data, we run it through our graphics cards, and we send that data back to universities and researchers to help them process what is happening with COVID. So that's been really interesting. And it's been really interesting to let the students know that while they're not here, the lab is being used for cool stuff that's helping out the problems in the world. And actually, our students who have very high-power computers can actually log on and connect to our network and share some of their processing power, because a lot of them, not all of them, have pretty high-spec computers. So we've found that during this pandemic, we've not tried to grow our organization, but we've tried to really, really take care of the people we have. And that's been really important, because it's like swimming upstream to try and grow an organization during a situation like this, and you'll just burn yourself out. So we thought we're going to really just look after our young people and really look after the families of those people do this. And that's been really good for us, and the parents have been really, really grateful for what we've done. So that's the kind of the methodology what we've taken during this pandemic. We have obviously, we've adapted our learning, we've set our computers to do other things, and we've also been doing this project with Google called Be Internet Citizens, which is sadly coming into an end, but it's really, really good. This is, Be Internet Citizens project was all about teaching kids about social things like manipulation online, us versus them mentality, polarization, and getting them to think about how they behave online, not about creating strong passwords or cybersecurity or anything like that, but about the moral implications of the actions they take online. And this is because we have such a really, really cool kind of pastoral team as well. So, we went from me up to 15 employers over 9 years. I mean, for 6 years, it was just me on my own doing it all. But then we got to the point where we just went, poof, and it was great, because we now have a team of people who are, I'm really good at tech. I'm really good at technology and stuff like that. But, Emma and the other staff are just really, really good at talking to students about the pastoral and the moral implications of technology and things like that. So that it's really good to have them on our team. So that we did that project. Now outside, I say we work really hard. We do all of what we call the work in the week. So we work, Monday to Friday. We put the work in. We build really cool projects. but on the weekend we have what we call a Saturday social. So about, at the moment it's online, so 4 hours of Zoom. They can log in, chat to their mates, play video games, go off to different Zoom rooms and chat. We have an esports team. We have the 7th best esports team in the UK. Not many people know that, but we won an award from Nintendo because we came 7th out of 1,028 teams. So that was really, really cool. This is a really big moment for a lot of them to be able to kind of to take part in that kind of thing. So it was really, to have an esports team was really great. And after they won, they came back to the club and started literally the next Saturday, came back to the club. And because they knew they couldn't take part in next year's tournament because they'd be too old, they started training up the younger kids to take over their roles in the new year. So that was a really lovely moment for me to see that they took their role as an older student seriously and were helping the next group of kids. We have an amazing Lego team. Lego is incredibly expensive. But we were able to join the first Lego League and win the Innovation Prize. We won the Judges Award because of the innovative use of Lego that we used. So we're very, very proud of our team. It was the first time we ever entered the first Lego League tournament, and we were able to win that. So that was cool. But we have, I think over the years, we've probably won around 60 awards. It's pretty crazy, but we've won every award pretty much that we've been nominated for. And it's good. But actually in 2009, we were winning about 2 awards a month. So we had to actually learn how to schedule the good news because it was getting to the point where we kept winning so many awards that it kind of just oversaturated what was going on that. And actually, we started to kind of pull back from that and focus on the awards that our young people were winning because a lot of them were getting places at university. They were winning local scholarships and things like that. And it's hard to lose. Well, it's easy to lose track of what you're trying to achieve when you get a lot of success. And we had to kind of remember that this is the kind of thing that is most important to us, that these students that we work with are going off to work for big companies. These students are going to build really, really cool, wonderful things in the future. And that we were very fortunate enough to be a part, just a small part of that journey. So that was really, really nice to be to write some profiles on some of our students before they left the university. One of the students that we had, I met him at a local school and he was being bullied. He wanted to make video games. He didn't have any friends, and the teacher, a wonderful art teacher, said, could you maybe spend like half an hour with him, talk to him about making games and, showing him how to do a few things. And it was a case of, I spent half an hour with him at lunchtime, showing him how to make a simple game. That got his confidence up so much that he was able to show off his games at school, get a bit more confidence in himself, and essentially make friends because of it. And he joined the club and got involved that way. And his mum phoned me up, crying down the phone saying, I can't believe he's going away to university. When he first met you, he couldn't even make eye contact. And now he's this like super confident young vegan man going off to university. And I had to explain to her, I was like, it was going to happen. He's a wonderful lad. And, he deserves to go to, Brunel. So that these kind of, we were very, very lucky to be a part of this story, of this much bigger story of getting these young people, getting their confidence back. We say we teach kids tech, but it's a lot of it is to do with giving them the confidence to take on the world through using tech. And it's a really, really important thing that we have to do. And we kind of realize that we have an opportunity here in Ipswich and Suffolk to kind of not just have that for the young people, but there's a kind of a missed middle who we we weren't able to help out because when we first started, we weren't confident enough, we didn't have the skills. So we went on to build other things. So we were really lucky to get some funding to build a thing called EDI, which is the East Anglian Digital Incubator. And essentially, it's like computing club, but for older people, older students who want to make either commercial video games or hobbyist games that they want to sell. We want to teach them how to run their own businesses, how to build their own commercial projects, and so on. And we've got some really awesome staff who I'm truly grateful for running it, because I just couldn't run that as well. I just call up my friends from the industry and get them to come in and talk about what they do in the games industry. And it's really, really kind of helped, I think, a lot of people locally. And it's also helped them kind of understand just what goes into making a commercial video game and the kind of whole process about it. And I think it's lovely. And it sounds bad, but I love the fact that I don't have much to do with it. I love the fact that it exists. I love the fact that I'm able to kind of just have it running in Suffolk, and I kind of help it by giving it funding. I help it by hiring the staff to do it. I can't, because I just don't have time to run it. The other thing is we have the Creative Computing Club Charitable Foundation, and this kind of came about from working in schools. This kind of came about from realizing that not every kid in Suffolk has a great laptop or computer to do stuff with. So we had to create a club, a charity, a registered charity, to buy high-end computing equipment for students who are going to study computer science, who are going to be computer scientists. And so we set up the charity, raise money every year, and buy really expensive computers for these wonderful students who go on to do A-levels, go on to do build video games, make computer music, and so on. So that's another kind of branch of what we've been doing. Now, I showed you that big list of companies at the beginning, and what the coolest thing is that I've been able to go back to most of them and allow my students to have access to them and to see how they run. So the Computing Club has now done projects with all of these organizations that I've worked with in the past, but now we're working with things like companies like Ubisoft and Ninja Theory and Microbit to do other projects. So it was about taking what I achieved personally in the past and kind of growing this club so that our students can have access to it. I'm very lucky in that kind of I helped out a lot of people in a lot of these companies who are now been promoted, so they're kind of managers, and they can kind of say, yes, we can have like 20 of your kids in to kind of do this project. It's really interesting that I could not have achieved what I've done with Computer Club if I wouldn't have had that career beforehand. And I see this with a lot of teachers who want to go into computer science. They have no actual experience of working in an industry. So when it comes to making that leap from having a kid learn computer science to go into the industry, there's just a huge gap for them. So I think I had to do the stuff before to be able to be who I am and do what I do now. And that's kind of it.
Thanks for that, Matthew. That was really interesting hearing. Wow, just such a journey for you going through the whole process of having that experience when you were at school, and then actually creating a better experience for people kind of in similar situations outside. Let me just turn you're on mute. I'm just trying to figure out how to unmute you.
Okay. Yeah, I had an awful experience at school. I had a good experience in American high school. So I was an Air Force brat. So I did all those trouble things when I was younger. So they actually put me in an after-school club that was funded by Apple with this program called Smart Talk, where they gave loads of Macintoshes to army schools. And I had a good experience in American high school. Then I came over to Chantry in Ipswich, and they had no computer, or they had these RM Nimbus machines or these BBC micros, and they just, and they said, you'll never work in computing, Matthew, you're going to work in like a shop, and you're going to stack shelves, and you're not very good at maths, because I have a lot of sensory issues, and you're not good at maths, you're not good at reading, you're not good at this or that. You're going to work in a shop and stack shelves. And I was kind of upset by that, and it destroyed my confidence.
Yeah.
Absolutely destroyed my confidence. And amusingly enough, as soon as I left school, I was hired right away to work in the industry. It's like, okay, those people at school just didn't understand me. They didn't understand what I was trying to do. And I had to build up my confidence over time, over very years, basically.
Do you feel like because like kids are obviously having to use tech all day, every day now in the pandemic, do you feel like that is giving them more interest in technology, or are they at the point where they're like, get it away from me, I'm on it all day?
I think quite rightly they're probably at the point where they want to get away from it. And I've said to the parents, is the white very early on we were doing our normal kind of sessions, learning and building stuff online, and I said to the parents, look, it's going to bore them. They'll want to leave the club, and that's fine. If they want to leave the club, that's totally fine. But what I'm worried about is that will disengage them from technology. So what our lessons are going to do are they're going to be 80% fun, 20% learning. They have to be fun, they have to be engaging, they have to be able to connect with their friends, they have to be able to tell jokes, they have to be able to share memes, they have to be able to do this stuff. Because if not, they're going to get very bored of it. And the parents were totally fine with it, because we knew that it was going to go on for a lot longer. We knew that that the students would start acting out more at home, and we didn't want that. We wanted them to be, the good, goofy, fun kids that they are. So we understand that when we come back in person, the first courses that we run are not going to be about learning. They're just going to be about playing games, having fun, joking around for at least 2 months, and then we'll get back to the work, because this is going to feel like several years to a young person, and we're preparing our kind of pastoral team to kind of be able to work with young people to kind of reintegrate them back into kind of whatever normal on the other end of this.
I mean, you talked a lot about how the young people come together, and presumably you've had to do some setting of the culture, expectations, tone, and kind of like, could you just talk a bit about how you do that and how you keep that alive when you've got such a mix of abilities, you're dealing with children with special needs? How do you kind of set that expectation and keep that alive for everyone?
We don't segregate SEN students from mainstream students. They just and to the point where that some groups have more autistic members in it than the non-autistic members, and the autistic kids refer to the other kids as muggles, kids without magic, basically, and that's totally fine. And everybody kind of, I think it takes students about 3 sessions to come to computer club and actually realize, I don't have to act out here. I don't have to kind of try and show off here. Everybody is just like me, geeky, trying to learn how to code, trying to make things, trying to make friends. And we have 3 kind of simple rules, and that's respect the equipment that we're using, respect each other, and respect the venue. And that's it. We can joke. You can joke about it. You can eat during your lesson. You can talk during your lesson. You can be goofy. It's just, the main thing is that you engage with the session. I'm not going to stand out in front of a lesson and tell kids you have to do this or that. We have these courses where they're about 8 weeks in length, and we have a theme, a broad theme of things that we're going to look at, and that may adapt and change over time. And we did a big data and personal data course right around the time the Facebook scandal broke, which was perfect timing. Because we were able to watch some of the judiciary hearing committee meetings, and we were able to kind of really look at what you can and can't do right at that point in time with like Facebook graph and things like that. And so that altered the course that we were running. And it has to be able to be that kind of dynamic. Yes, it makes it harder to scale. It makes it harder for other teachers to kind of take over. But it has to be that good, and it has to be that put the world in context. But
Yeah.
I think, the kids kind of understand after they've come here for a little bit that everybody else here is just like them. They just want to, this is like a youth club for the geeky kids. And, we have kids who come here on Saturday and play chess. We've got kids who play D&D, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon cards. We love it all. We've even got My Little Pony cards over there as well. We don't care. We just want them to be able to have fun and feel confident that this is a safe place that they can be in, talk crap occasionally, and go home feeling good about themselves. They have to have that.
Yeah.
They have to have that. If not, they're just going to feel bottled up. They're going to feel, like everybody's having a great time and not them. No, we have to make sure that they understand that there is a place for them.
Yeah. So I haven't got any other questions, but my last question for you was, you mentioned like at the moment in the pandemic, there's no focus on growth. What do you see the future of the club sort of short to long term? How are you thinking about maybe growing or expanding what you offer? I know someone like you always see the possibilities probabs
Yeah. Well,
but it's
I was actually meant to be kind of retiring this year. But that's totally fine. I was actually kind of meant to be stepping away from the teaching, moving more towards the managerial kind of hiring people to do the work. But I realized that very, very quickly I had to kind of step in and kind of steer the ship into the port, basically, and that's totally fine. Before the pandemic, we were about to build 5 more computing clubs across England. So we've already got all of that sorted in place with a very major funder who basically said, we'll fund it, you'll own it, but we want first dibs at the students who come out of it. Yeah, we want to be able to offer them internships first because, this company, basically, they offered internships to 16-year-olds to work for them. Without going to sixth form, without going to uni, they would happily take them on, and they said we need more of those kids. Basically, we need more of those young people to come into roles, and we'll pay for them to go to university. We'll pay for them, but we need more of them. So that was the plan for 2020. Obviously, that's been delayed. So that's why we kind of, a lot of projects we just said, well, we can't expand, and there's no point stressing ourselves over expanding. Let's just look after the people we have. Yes, it will knock us back a bit in terms of growth, in terms of income, in terms of our community, but we will have a really strong community at the end of it. It's really, really important that what we do is to maintain that, to the point of, when we were working with all these 15 different schools and we were offering them free online sessions during the day, we noticed that a lot of students just weren't showing up. And we talked to the schools and said, what's going on there? And they said, well, they don't have any computers at their home. They don't have, some of them just have their mum's mobile phone. So we've organized around 600 laptops to go out to kids across Suffolk. And that is no small feat. But basically, we were able to harass all the local tech companies, all the national tech companies, and say, give us your laptop, give us your computers, first of all, because we know that you've bought all your staff new laptops to go home with. So give us all your desktops. We'll take them all, because by the time you come back, they're going to be out of date. You're going to bin them anyway. So we're going to have them now. We'll get rid of the hard drives. We'll refurbish them and ship them out to kids in Suffolk to get them online. So we're doing that at the moment, to the point where Suffolk County Council has said to us, can you be the official laptop distributor for Suffolk? And it's like, well, yeah, because we can not only refurbish them, rebuild them, we can get them out to the kids who need them. So we've had to do everything we can to make sure that the young people have that opportunity to learn. So
Oh, amazing. Cool. So what we normally do now is go into rooms, but as there's only 3 of us, 3 other people, what I'm going to do is just invite you to all switch on your cameras and mics if you'd like to. And maybe just say a bit about where you are, who you are, and where you come from, you know, and what your interest is in community, if you'd like to.
Hello, Ed. How are you, Ed?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Just busy.
Tell me about it.
Literally working through a pile of hundreds of computers downstairs, which is good. Which is great because it's it's really lovely to kind of harass big companies and then knock on a door of a student and say, "Here you go, like just here you go, have a computer. This will help." And it's
pretty cool.
Yeah, I am one of Matt's EADI members.
Ah, cool. Yeah, that sounds like a really interesting. I find it interesting what you said about like there's a gap, there's like generation of people who you couldn't reach, but they're still wanting to get into tech somehow. I mean, my background was it's from sports science and physiotherapy, and now I'm project lead for an open source project.
Brilliant.
You know, so and at school I was told like computer science is not something girls do. I actually wanted to be a marine engineer, and I was told I wasn't allowed to do that either. So I think it's fantastic that there are opportunities like this for people now.
Well, at Computer Club, about 48% of our students are girls, and it's just because the way we teach is that we started teaching at university and like on the degree courses, and we found there might be about 2 girls on the games development course, and then we moved down to A levels, and there was about 5. And then down to GCSE, and there might be about 10. And then we went to primary school, and everybody wants to do it. So I said, this is where we make our stand. This is where we put heavily, so that way they have the confidence to carry on. And actually, a very funny thing happened. We got an article in the Evening Star about the Creative Computing Club, and one of the complaints was that there were no girls in the photos. And I was like, actually, there are 2 girls in the photos, and there are actually more girls in the room who just didn't want to be in a picture with those boys. So the 2 girls right there just have short hair, and the other ones didn't want to be in the picture with those boys because they're from a different high school and they don't want to be seen with them. So that's fair enough. We have to respect that. And so I mean, we've got some amazing students. One student in particular, she's actually managed to secure a role at NASA, which is
awesome.
Which we kind of knew she was heading that way from the very first moment we met her. We thought, this one's gonna be a lot of trouble. she's not gonna be happy staying in Suffolk. She's not gonna be happy doing anything. So we have to really push her and give her every opportunity, and just taking it and gone, and that's awesome. So I'll move to there. There you go. That's better. You're on the other screen now. But,
okay.
I don't ever feel kind of. I mean, I do get exhausted because I do a lot of work. I work about 16 hours a day, but I don't ever think of it. Gotta go into work. Ever. I just think, let's go make something, let's break something, let's go harass a company for something, and just keep going because you don't know where you can take it. I think a lot of people when they first met me when I came back to Suffolk were like, not too sure about Matt. No, I think he's got some big crazy ideas. I don't know where he's going, but it's I just kind of had to prove myself time and time again, and it's been fun. It has been fun, but I think I am gonna step back in maybe about 2 years time and let other teachers come in, let other people take over that kind of side of things. I love it and I'll miss it completely because it's just so much fun. But it's something that has to happen, and we have to have more people out there doing it. And I found a few really, really talented people, so it'll kind of expand like that. And we are going to start Creative Science Club, and we are going to have another branch of ED, which is more towards the creative arts kind of side of things. to help young businesses create digital art and digital projects like that. And it's it's hard work, but I don't see it as work anymore. I just think, and my poor partner is like, oh God, what are you doing now? Like,
I have a partner like that.
yeah, why are you making it harder for yourself? I was like, because it's got to be done, and if nobody else is going to do it, I've got to do it, haven't I? And that's So
is the Creative Science Club the guy that I brought you?
I think so. The physics guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Him. I mean, oddly enough, I met loads of other physics teachers who want to be involved as well. And it's because it's really physics, computing, and it's all very, very tied together. But we've been asked a lot to help out mathematics with students as well. So that might be something we want to go down. But we have to listen to what the parents want, and we have to listen to what the students want, and what's kind of needed. We were in the process of applying to become a school. Fortunately, that didn't go through, so we didn't have to deal with that during COVID, luckily, and that's good. But we are going to become an exam center, so we are going to be able to have students sit their GCSEs with us. There's a lot of SEN kids who feel very anxious about sitting their exams in big exam halls with loads of other students. So we're going to make sure we get their GCSEs with us in this building or the other building. So it's that's our kind of next big goal, is to do that.
I have a question. When you first started, how did you approach the companies? Was it just purely just going back to the ones that you knew and experience through that, or?
A lot of it was, I have done so many favors for so many people in so many companies. I was one of the oddest employees because I would help out other employees. And that didn't fit well with tech. That didn't fit well with the kind of dog eat dog world of kind of Silicon Valley at all. And it's just like, I don't know. I just kind of thought, oh, that would be helpful for them if they knew about that job or whatever. So I just went back and said, we're doing this. And I think in about 5-6 years' time, Computer Club will probably be funded by its ex-members, if I'm honest, because they'll all be working in tech. They'll all be working, and have benefited from it. I mean, it's lovely to kind of. There's a weird period where students kind of go away to university and they're super quiet for a while, and then they pop up on LinkedIn, and then you see, oh, yeah, I remember you. And then they're kind of like, hold on, that's weird. And then you're working at that company. Oh, that's good. And you talk to them, and then they say, oh, you should invite some of the kids from Computer Club up to us and see how it is. But yeah, I think a lot of it, I struggle with a lot of computer science teachers who've had little to no experience of actually working in tech. And it's, I mean, most computer science teachers I've met in Suffolk are ex-geography teachers who are good with the printer, who basically they were in the room, they knew how to work the printer. Now they're the IT teacher or computer science teacher, and it's like, and in all fairness, if you were working in tech, why in hell would you quit and go and teach? Why would you do that? I did it obviously because I had 4 children I wanted to be around, triplets and a spare. I had all those to be around, and I was bored of being in London every day, having to commute every day. I don't like traveling anyway. So I think the whole COVID situation is hilarious, because nobody wants to commute anymore. So I kind of gave that up, came back here, and people were kind of like, don't know what Matt's doing here. And then it kind of slowly progressed to the point where we were helping young people kind of build a future. I would always say, if you can go and work for a big company early on in your career, I would go and do it. You'll learn a lot about operating procedures. You'll learn a lot about the culture, and you'll learn about the things that you don't want to do. You'll learn about a lot, I stole a lot of the best ideas from Apple and Google, small teams. We only have teams of like 10 students at a time because that works better. That gives you a better outcome. We get them to work together. We don't want them silos. We want one group of kids to be able to talk about another group of kids, even though they're not in the same class, but they know the projects they're working on because they have a Discord and they can have that community. They've built. Basically, I created the Computing Club Discord. We have two of the older ones monitor it and manage it, and all the other kids are just building AI bots to run havoc in it. So, and it's lovely. It's really really cool to see that. But they hang out together, they play games together. It's expanded beyond that, and it's a really weird situation. We've had to adapt to this COVID situation, but I think we just kind of thought, well, what can we do to help our young people? What can we put in place? And now we've got international students, which is really odd. It's and some of the I have to. It's a really odd feeling to know that I've got students now that I may never ever meet in person. That's a really odd feeling, and it was similar to a feeling I had when I took on Emily, to my other teaching assistant, to teach in schools, because I hired Emily and I hired my oldest daughter, who's gone to university now, to work in a school, and we were walking around Tesco's, and my daughter was like, "Oh my god, I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be seen." I was like, "What's wrong?" And that little girl's from Computer Club. I looked at her, I was like, "No, she's not." And then I thought, oh, God, yeah, because you teach her, I don't teach her. And that was a really weird thing to kind of experience, that there are kids who have been a part of Computer Club that I don't know, and that's really odd. And it's kind of, maybe it's my ego that I had to do everything, I had to build everything, I had to do everything. But I had to kind of let go of that, and I'm glad I did, because we have some truly brilliant staff. We have some really, really wonderful people who work for us, and actually, it's turned out better in a lot of respects, because they've done things I would have done differently, and actually they've done it better than I probably would have done. So I just had to put my faith in them to grow that side of things, and I've been very, very lucky in that respect. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, John, or anything you wanted to add?
No, I know. I better own up and say I'm not, as Matthew knows, I'm not a tech person, but I think the story of the Computer Club is just inspiring. It's a lovely story. So I'm a bit of a camp follower.
Thank you. It's I've kind of been thinking that, yes, we're coming up to our 10th anniversary. Well, we're coming up to the 9th one, and then obviously the 10th one will just appear out of nowhere. I know it will. And it's a really odd feeling, because I've done this job longer than any other job I've ever done. Because all those tech companies, I just bounced in between and slowly got promoted and promoted, and really, really quickly. And that's how you kind of do it in working in government and working in tech. But this is kind of like, this is it. This is my life's work now. And that's fine. That's fine. If I'm known for anything, I'll be known for this, and I'm happy with that. Because I was talking to a friend who said, you're kind of known for the job that you do, 9 to 5, and then you want to do something for your community. You want to do something that you're kind of outside of that. But Matt, you seem to kind of combine the two, and kind of that has allowed you to grow as a different person. Because I say I was a bit more selfish when I was doing my own tech career and trying to promote myself and get better jobs. But apparently I wasn't that selfish. I was still trying to help other people. And it's just like, oh, okay, I thought I'd really changed. But I haven't changed that much, apparently. So it's I just work with more people and stuff than in the past. But
I'm really glad that I've got to know you, Matt, purely because I met you at the start of like my career as a community builder.
Yeah.
Like your advice has been invaluable. But
thank you.
yeah, I really respect you, and yeah, hopefully I can get to a point where I'm similar to you, where the community builds by itself rather than
Yeah.
yeah.
I think with anything that you're passionate about, any craft, any skill, it just takes time. And you will get you will be disheartened often along the way. There's tons of, I only talk about the successes. There's been lots of things that have collapsed, a lot of things that have failed, a lot of funding bids that we didn't get. Like, I think we've applied for Arts Council funding 16 or 20 times and never got a penny. And we do it all again and again and again. And it's just a matter of eventually we got good at it because we've done it so many times, and it just becomes quite natural to be able to talk about the work you do and to talk, and to kind of sell it to different people. It just anything of value takes time, and that and what will happen, Ed, is this: people won't like with me. No one understood what the hell I was trying to do at the beginning. No one. They're like, why you want to teach kids about tech like that? Why you want to do it like that? Like, why can't they just learn it at school? I was like, because they can't learn it at school. But when they see the outcome, everybody will jump on the bandwagon. Everybody goes, oh, here's some money, here's some money, here's some funding. And then you have to think, oh God, I can't take money from them and them because they're two competing companies. I have to kind of get them to put it into this project and that money into that project. Yeah. Once they start seeing, you kind of have to do the work first, a little like a pilot project, then show them what you've done, and then people will come in. If you say, I want to do something, it's very hard to get funding from people. But if you say, I've done this, but I want to make it bigger, then more people would jump on board. And it is hard, Ed. I know. It's, I said our first year's turnover was like £5,000, and my partner was like, "What are you doing? You've left your job in London where you could buy a house every year, to earn £5,000 last year." I was like, "Yeah, but we're fine. We'll be fine." And it's really. I'm not going to say it's not about the money, because the money obviously helps you build other things. But for the first 6 years, my wage was about 15,000 a year. But because I kept taking the money, putting it back into the club to expand it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I love the fact that we're a CIC, because it keeps us focused on what we're actually meant to be doing. We have to produce an impact report every year. So we have to kind of say to everybody, this is what we've achieved in our community every year. We have to write a big old report. And that keeps us focused on what we're trying to do. But if it was just money, it would just be kind of boring. But if we get to, what I really like about it, because I really like stories, is that we get to be a part of so many different people's stories. We get to be a part of, there's this lad called Lucian. He's on my LinkedIn now, and he was one of my first Creative Compute Club students, and I just saw he's got another promotion, and I'm like, well, that's going to happen a lot for Lucian, because he's really, really talented, and we kind of get to be a part of that. And I think, I think it's lovely to kind of just to say that we helped so many young people get their confidence in tech. And not all of them go into tech. Not all of them go into tech. Some of them, do other things, but they all end up quite successful people in whatever they do, because that's what we're focused on.
And you never know the impact of that, do you? Because it's not only the young person that's going to impact, it can also impact their friends, their family around them, people that they come into contact with. It changes whole society by throwing a few stones in the pond. All the ripples start to affect things you never knew that they would touch.
I got to go to the Develop Her Awards last year.
Yes,
or the year before. And I went on stage and I said, I work in the best organization in Ipswich, in Suffolk. It's better than all of your organizations. And then people were like, what? And I was like, because I work with all of your future bosses, your colleagues, and your staff. And I get to train them and work with them all day, every day. And that's why it's the best, because it's made up of all of you. And they were like, oh, okay, all right, we'll allow that.
I remember that talk. And when you started, I was like, I'm not quite sure where he's going with this.
But it's it's been really, really nice. I walked around Derivco, it's a local company, and the head of one of the people in development was kind of showing me around, and I was like waving at people, like, all right, yeah, you're right. And he's like, why are you waving at my staff? I was like, well, I taught him, I taught him, I taught all your best developers by the sounds of it. And so that was quite amusing because they had brought us in for something else completely, and only to discover that we had taught several of them. And then at the Develop Her conference, the head of development, I looked over and I said, that's Powley. And like everybody on my table was like, that's James or somebody Powell. And no, I was like, that's Powley. And like, well, why is he called that? I was like, because I used to skateboard with him in Chantry. So I went over to him, the head of development. All right, Powley. I was like, oh, you're right, Matt. Yeah. And started talking and started talking about like his development team and the kids that we actually sent over. I call them kids, but they're adults. But the ones that he kind of employed that kind of came up through us, and it's it's been quite fun. It's yeah.
Are you going to try the school again, or are you?
Well, we've been made an international school by UNESCO, which is wild, which is really good because I think because we had Brexit, it felt like we were kind of cutting ourselves off from Europe. So becoming a UNESCO school that allows us to run projects with connected to other schools around the world. So we're going to be teaming up with a school in Japan, which is going to be very cool. A lot of them are like, a lot of them are like anime fans. I was like, they're not all going to want to talk to you about anime.
But they might.
They might, but they might watch this anime. I was like, they might watch that anime, or they might just think it's just trash. So we don't know. Okay, we don't know what kind of people we're going to get. We know they're going to be tech people. But yeah, we're going to be teaming up with several different schools around the world to run projects. We also want to get more involved in Parliament, and obviously there is a kind of a youth Parliament in Ipswich. We want to kind of expand that because a lot of our students, I wouldn't say are political, but they are interested in government and they're interested in that kind of stuff. And it's like, if we can help them out, we will. Some of our very first students work for a vaccine company, which was very cool to hear. Obviously, I can't tell you who that was, but it's very cool to hear that one of our former students has gone up to that level, and lower down in the thing, but it definitely involved in the project, which is very, very cool to hear. So any ways that we can kind of promote our kids, that's all we're going to do. It's just yeah.
Amazing. Great.
John, you probably haven't seen me this thin before.
You are a different person.
Yeah.
I'm most impressed.
So Ruth, when I was at the Develop Her conference, I weighed around just under 300 pounds. And now I'm around 170. So I run like 6 kilometers a day. I do an hour of resistance training, cycling, and boxing. It's basically a friend of mine who works in the film industry showed me his training regime, and he said, you should do this for a laugh, Matt, and I did. And I did, very foolishly. Obviously, I don't have all the personal trainer and all of the other stuff that he has to become super big. But he's very supportive. Maybe I can get an extras role in one of his films. We'll see. But it's that. I think that's been a real good. It's also been a good thing for my students as well, because they saw me when I was very, very big. And now the parents like the fact that I talk to them about eating healthily now, and I can talk to them a bit more confidence about it. I'm not a trained sports person at all. I just muddled through it at the beginning, and I just kind of promote them to eat healthy, do some exercise, get outside in the sun, and so on. But it's it has definitely inspired at least 2 students to take their, the physical education a bit more seriously, which is really good. Before it was just like, I just want to sit down and play games. And now they're out walking their dog regularly, and the parents are like, wow, can we tell you other things to tell our children to do? I was like, that's not really how it works. I'm here to I'm not exactly like, a kind of a stealth parent device, but it's helped them. So it's helped them think about what they're eating.
How did they feel when you shaved? Because I found it very jarring.
Oh, what the beard or the hair?
Yeah,
because I shaved both, didn't I? And that was
yeah. Well, mainly the beard.
Okay.
Mainly the beard. I found that very jarring.
Because I looked like I was 15. It was my ex-boss, Emma Creaney, she was like, you're just reversing time now, Matt. You look like 15 years old. And it's like, yeah, under a beard, I do look very, very young. But the funniest thing is, Ed, because the first thing I did, I don't think anybody on like LinkedIn or anybody else thought, during the very first lockdown, I shaved my head completely. So there was a picture, the students took a screenshot of me teaching with a bald head. And then I had no beard. So they took a screenshot of me with no beard. And then now they've made these avatars where I have no hair whatsoever. And they call it Matt Bezos. And it's just like, it's so funny. Because they screenshot me all the time when I'm teaching, and they do memes. And there's these things on the Discord server called Pokemon cards. So they're Pokemon cards, but with my face doing stupid things, and they list all different superpowers that I'm doing. And it's just, it's an ongoing nonsense thing, but it keeps them happy. And I don't think they'd be allowed to do that with other teachers, because other teachers would be, strict and I just think it's funny. I allowed them to have a Pokemon channel. I was like, yeah, you can post all your Pokemon cards in here. But shaved my head because I couldn't get a haircut, and it was just getting like longer and longer and longer. And I thought, right, no, gonna shave it off. And then I shaved off my beard, and my partner didn't like that, so you're not the only one.
The beard.
The beard is back. It's always going to come back, and it took like 2 weeks. And well, it's not super long, but it's not ZZ Top again yet.
It's really great to have you come join us. I'm sorry there weren't so many people here today.
Quite all right.
We'll be sharing the video later as well, so folk can catch up with it on YouTube or on the event page. So
Cool.
If there's anything you need me to edit out, just let me know.
No, it's all fine. All fine. Throw it out there. But when you run these in person again, if you ever need to have a place where you can host it, you can run them at the club if you want to.
That would be awesome.
We use downstairs for all different types of events. Anything that helps out local people.
We didn't actually manage to have any events in person because it was due to start in March, and I got COVID in March. So it knocked me out for like 2 months, and then we were in lockdown. So everything for my meetup group has been online. So, but the plus side is that I can get speakers from all over the world. I mean, that's the benefit. We've had some really awesome sessions from people from all over the world. So. But my vision for it was about bringing people together in Ipswich and helping communities in Ipswich to grow and together, I
was so glad to find CMX in Ipswich. Literally after this session, I'm starting my own session for the Creatives Meetup.
Cool.
I would love to take over the computing club again with the Creatives Meetup.
Definitely. But I think it's the way the building's going to be in the future is going to be slightly different, and when we get the second building, it'll be different again. But because Ubisoft are sending us really high-powered computers.
Oh.
And so like insane level computers that they used like once. And basically they're sending them to us. So downstairs we'll have all the high powered computers, and we'll so we can change the use for upstairs a bit more. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Awesome. Well, next month I've got some folks from Standing on Giants who are based in London.
Okay.
So yeah, they're doing a session on what they call a 5-element system for community success. So they run like communities for giffgaff, Airbnb, like that kind of company. So it should be quite interesting to hear what they're talking about. But yeah. If there's anyone else that you'd like to know more about in communities, or any topics that you think would be relevant, then do give us a shout.
How do you find these people?
Pretty much the same way as you were talking about finding people, like people I've done favors for, friends in the industry, friends of friends in the industry. I'm in a couple of DevRel Slack groups with developer relations, because a lot of what I'm doing in my role as project lead is developer relations. So I also sort of put messages out on there, and basically all of the tech stacks that you use, there'll be a developer relations person in there. So getting people from Amazon or Circle CI or places like that is fairly easy, but I also want to try and find people locally, and those are the harder ones to root out. Yeah, people who are doing really cool stuff, who are willing to talk about what they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I find any, I'll let you know.
Cool. Yeah, thanks.
Well,
great.
Take care, everyone.
Okay, thanks very much for all your time, folks.
That's right. I'll see you around.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.